Thanks everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't subscribed my channel, can you please subscribe my channel. In the previous video, we have seen at the high level what are the types of volumes and where to use those volumes. So to continuation of that, in this video we will see the first type of volume is called EmptyDir volume. Now basically when you create a EmptyDir volume, it will be available only within the pod. It will not be available outside of the pod. So that is where it will be used for sharing the some content or something between the containers which are available within the pod only. Like example, in our day-to-day projects, we are using applications like front end and back end. So for that requirement, sometimes we use it to create main core container or sidecar containers. Okay, so to share the data between main containers and sidecar containers, we use these volumes. Not only main containers and sidecar containers, we use to share the data between containers which is available inside the pod. Okay, so how does this help is, whenever you create a new pod, you will get the new volume which will be the empty initially. So you take this volume and then mount to some folder inside the container. Okay, so whatever you put in the first container with the help of volume will be shareable to the second container, and whatever you put in the second container with the help of volume, it will be shareable to the first container, or it will be visible to the first container only. Okay, so that is where you need to be remember that EmptyDir is the volume. If you want to share the data between containers in the same pod, you use EmptyDir only. And make sure as long as the pod is available, the volume will also be available. So no matters how many times the container getting recreated and the container delete, and even if you can create, you will get the same volume and same data, because pod has the volume actually. So this is the pod level volume. If the pod itself getting recreated, it's say crashed, then the volume will be empty. Definitely it should be deleted. Every time when the pod gets created, the volume will be empty only. So after that, whatever the data is generating, that will be stored into the inside that volume. Okay, so how do you create it? So now in this case, volume is the property. So like health checks, like liveness probe and readiness probe, same way volume is also is the property of the pod. So now we can see how to create this volume and how to share the volume between the containers. I will share that code and we are going to see actually. So this is the sample code actually. So here I am going to create two containers. One is the container 1 and container 2 actually. So the pod name here I have given as EmptyDir is the EmptyDir-volume. This is the pod name I have given. And after that, so from here to here, this is the container 1. In this container 1 I use it for that Ubuntu is the image, and the volume mount name is share. So we mount to the one of the folder in the host machine. That's what in the previous here you can see actually in the host server. So these two are the containers. It is available inside the pod actually. Okay, so in the host machine we use it to be mount this OPT share. So this is the mount for the first container. In the second container also we use it for the Ubuntu, and then the volume is mount. Volume name is just share, same volume, and the mount path is /opt data. Okay, so then the volume type is here EmptyDir I used actually. So using this code, and we need to play some commands actually. Okay, so using kubectl-apply The YAML file name I have given EmptyDir. Then after that we can see the pods, kubectl get pods we can come to know. Then after that, first once we can get that pods, inside that pod we have two containers as per that image. So you can go to that container 1 by using kubectl exec pod name. Here we need to give -c container name, first container. Then we can see this is the first volume we mount actually, opt share. ls you can do, you can come to know when you create a pod, initially the volume will be empty. That's what we have seen. Okay, so in that, once we can see that here it is empty, then in the same thing, same command we can use for, we can see this is also empty. Now what we can do, we can go to that first container and we can create one file. So if you want to create the file outside of the container, we can use exec is the command in the Docker. Same way, here also we can use exec, and if you want to create the file in Linux, we can use touch is the command. We can see file 1 I have created. Where I have created? In the container 1. So if we create any file in the container 1, same volume will be shared to the container 2. So now if we can go and see the container 2, the file 1 is available. Okay, file 1 is available in the container 2. At the same way, now if we go to that second container and create one more file which is called file 3. Now if you can see in the second container, two files are available. One is called file 1, another one is called file 3. And after that you can go and see in that container 1 also, it will be available in the file 3 and file 1. So that is where both containers can share the content using EmptyDir. So EmptyDir is useful if your pod has that multiple containers and you want to share the data between them. That time we can use EmptyDir. But remember, will not be available outside the pod. Only as long as the pod is there, data will be available. Okay. But when the pod get recreated or it got crashed, let's say if you want to do for that scaling for that particular pod, every time the pod will be new, right? So that is where even the volume also should be new, which is empty volume. So that is something you should have to remember it. So in the next video, I will execute this code and I will show you. Thanks for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe, and please support me. Thanks for watching.